Hey guys, I want to welcome you to the weekly Wednesday for the Financial Freedom newsletter, where every week, every Wednesday, we delve into something inspirational, motivational, something excerpt taken from the Financial Freedom weekly newsletter. Wherever you are, if you're listening on Spotify, on iTunes, Google, be sure to click the like, subscribe, share, comment. And without ado, let's get into the show. Welcome, everybody, to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. And as you know, we talk about 4 different types of freedom: time, financial, location, health freedom. And in that light, I'm always interviewing entrepreneurs, business owners, doing things on the cutting edge, sharing with you those insights and conversation. So today's podcast is going to be all about freedom and movement and business. So we have Michael Hughes, founder and CEO of Gymnazo, and he's going to talk to us about movement and movement, the body, and business. So Michael, welcome.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Tell us more about how you got started, your company, your business, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So ever since the 7th grade, I knew I wanted to be a physical therapist. I didn't know that it was physical therapy. I knew I wanted to help people move better. And through bodybuilding back in the 7th grade, I realized that, you could really affect yourself, through movement, through the expression of just working out. Bodybuilding was just the only thing I knew. That's the only thing. I was fitness pretty much back in the early 90s, in a sense, right? And all the gyms were set up that same way, like to make yourself look better, not necessarily perform better. So I wanted to pursue that career. So to me, I thought about what's the profession that knows the most amount about movement? And to me, my understanding was that it was a physical therapist. So I pursued it as far as I possibly could. Well, when I started to realize that I don't really learn as well in straight line rows of desks, sitting to lectures and answering multiple choice questions to pass tests, I was like, well, wait a minute. Is this what I want to do? And the answer was still yes, but I had to find a different way of going about it. Long story short, it's because they're not going to accept my 3.3 GPA in a doctorate of physical therapy class. I needed more than that. So I was considering myself relatively intelligent, but I didn't really get the feedback of that from schools. And I always knew that I would own my own business. And it wasn't because I knew entrepreneur. Every single male figure in my family that I looked up to owned their own business. My grandfathers did, all my uncles did, my dad did. So therefore, that's what you do. You just own your own business. What I didn't realize is that in movement or in the fitness or in the healthcare space, owning your business is also owning, I'm going to say this word, a little bit, radically, but it's almost owning your own slavery. Because if you don't get paid unless someone's in front of you, and if you want to take a vacation, guess what? You know this, Chris. Someone's not in front of you. You're like, oh, well, so I'll talk about that. So it was really this whole concept. I knew I wanted to be a movement practitioner. I knew I wanted to help people with movement-related dysfunction. But I started in fitness and performance. So what I ended up doing to make Gymnazo what it is today is I took my fitness education and blended it with my black sheep physical therapy knowledge. I basically found a fellowship of a bunch of black sheep physical therapists who were kind of being kicked out of the American Physical Therapy Association, construct, because they're doing things radically different. And radically different really meant that, wait a minute, I don't think a leg extension machine is a good way to test for ACL strength. We should probably have our foot to the ground and test ACL strength functionally versus mechanically. And maybe I don't think we should probably just stretch the hamstring in one plane. Probably stretch the hamstring in all 3 planes of motion. And we should probably not just put an ice pack, an e-stem, and ultrasound on someone's knee to heal it. Maybe we should make sure the ankle and hip move better. All these things were groundbreaking in pissing off people and da-da-da-da. So that's how I learned. So I'm here, this radical personal trainer challenging local physical therapists to constructs and results and trying to format a business. And by the way, not creating a fitness business that's a hobby job. So I got to solve a lot of problems. And so hence here we are today. Have I solved them all? No. But do I have a good grasp on how to solve a lot of them? Well, yes. That's my story.
Yeah, it's an interesting backstory and very inspiring. The question is what as an entrepreneur, we're always on the cutting edge, we're always ahead of trends. And what sort of things did you have to deal with from the establishment and moving into these new types of concepts and making a business out of it?
Yeah, so everyone knows fitness. So starting from that standpoint, it's pretty easy. But unfortunately, in my perspective, fitness is being commoditized. It's the race for the bottom. It's the race for the cheapest. And you look at all of the competition coming in the space right now is the Orange Theories, the F45s, even the CrossFit, right? Even that, So basically, what that is, it's dumbing down. I don't mean this in a negative way to those practitioners out there, but it's dumbing down the miraculous capacity of the human body in movement. I'm going to pick an Orange Theory just because it's easy. Sorry, guys, it's low hanging fruit. Running on a treadmill and rowing on a rower for 2/3 of every workout, I'm not going to call that fitness. I'm just not. Is it cardiovascular health? No question. Is it calorie burn? No question. But I'm not going to call that well-rounded human movement capacity growth fitness. We have to rewrite the script on that one. I probably piss off a lot of people. I'm sorry. I'm just saying there's more to it than just that. It's like going to see a medical doctor and say, oh, you just have to reduce your stress. That's going to solve all your problems. Well, that's solve a lot of problems, but it's more complicated than that. So what I'm trying to do is really say, like, wait a minute, to be cutting edge, you have to push the boundaries higher. And the biggest problem is that when we start to deal with musculoskeletal dysfunction, MSDs, in a training space, we start to bump into chiropractors and bump into physical therapists because we're getting their patients who didn't get fixed. Not saying they're bad at their job. Their protocol-based thinking didn't solve the outside of the bell curve problem that they had. So we take care of it and they go talk about it. And when I see someone doing a straight leg raise to help fix their meniscus pain, I'm like, well, wait a minute, the foot's not even connected to the ground. That's how they tore it. So there's a disconnect. There's a gap. So I can either be quiet about it or I can try to grow my business. So I speak up, and speak up runs into barriers. So again, it's not like anything's doing anything wrong. I just believe that there's a new generation of iPhone out there, and we should stop using the iPhone 5 to fix knee pain. We should use the iPhone 14 to fix knee pain. And well, we get a lot of institutional bias in all fields, but especially in the movement field, where it's kind of the Wild West, So even fitness by itself is on the cutting edge, but we're kind of being constrained by the greater medical system. Not picking sides here. I'm just saying, where's your research? Where's your journal of medicine? Where's your evidence? And I'm saying, I don't have any of those, but I have logic, because I'm not going to argue with gravity, ground reaction force, mass momentum, physics. I'm not going to argue with those because I'm following those laws. And I'm following the laws of biology. Every tissue in the body, every bone, every joint can move in 3 planes of motion, not equally, but they can all do that. And the principles of human nature and human constructs of encouragement and positivity and growth. So we're running into a lot of barriers, and I'm trying to grow my business on this one. So it's fun, Chris, I can tell you that much. But we're pushing into a lot of industries' territory in a way that they don't want to give it up, especially insurance. Insurance really doesn't want to give it up. And all the medical practitioners that I look up to are beholden to the insurance mindset, though they would love to take cash like I do, which is a whole nother reframe of how we can run the system. They can't, or they don't want to, or it's too much of a headache. Forgive me for saying this, but Elon Musk is changing a lot of industries. I think fitness is also running into a lot of industries. I'm not saying I'm Elon Musk, but I kind of feel like, man, we got to really disrupt quite a few things to really make this truly a career that someone can say, I'm a movement engineer.
It's quite interesting because what you're describing is more of because it's like education, food, all of these are kind of built for mainstream, and then what you're offering is like a very personalized, specific plan.
Yeah.
it depends on each unique client.
Or at least unique demographics, right? We've scaled it to group, but if you're talking about a movement dysfunction, yeah, it depends on the person. Yeah.
And it's quite interesting, especially when you're talking about new concepts and things that haven't been done. You have to incorporate different elements together and tailor it. So tell us more, how this fits into the people in different demographics. So, for example, someone who's an athlete, pro athlete, and weekend warrior, someone who just wants to get fit. Tell us more.
Yeah. So the cool thing about human movement, it all follows principles, that truly, undeniable. And the hard part is that when we're talking about the education point, we've learned anatomy from a dead person, a cadaver on a metal table. And so we think that the hamstring flexes the knee. Well, it does when on a prone person on a metal table, but it doesn't do that on a person standing up, running down the field to catch a pass. So we're training a muscle in the way that it's not actually used. And last time I checked, I have movement nerves called proprioceptors that are trained a certain way and respond to that stimulus. So if I train them to do leg extension machines or leg curls, but I want them to go run on the field, the foot proprioceptors are saying, I don't even know what you're talking about. So it's like, okay, so the pro athlete is getting trained literally almost like a bodybuilder. There's been changes. I'm making a general statement, but you would think that the pro athletes are getting the finest tuned, most educated trainer. They're not. They're getting the guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who's a good buddy of the guy who plays golf with that guy, and they're getting that trainer. I'm not saying he's not intelligent, but there needs to be a new level of intelligence. Mm-hmm. So if we can get a trainer who can break down movement, reverse engineer movement, it's really what I'm saying, and they can really fine tune, and there shouldn't be a statistic in the NFL of how many hamstrings tears people have in the preseason. That shouldn't be a statistic at all. It should be, this person got tackled in his knee. Okay, he ruptures ACL. Understand. Non-contact injuries should be a fraction of the number. So we have a big opportunity there, in my mind. The weekend warrior. Okay, these people who love to sit at desks, that's how they make their money with their mind. And then they really don't understand the concept, because no one taught them, of how to warm up and cool down. Well, the term of a warm-up, they just start running. That's a warm-up. No. We're talking about biomechanical. We're talking about all the oils and fluids inside of our joint capsules to keep it fun, right? We're talking about the proprioceptive ability to fire muscles in the right sequence. So we're talking about just simple pre-care and post-care of the weekend warrior. Not a concept. You tell a runner to warm up, they'll say, I'm out of here. I'm firing you. Okay, fair enough. All right, so we got to figure that one out. And then for the baby boomer, let's just call that, or the greatest generation, the baby boomer, they're the people who actually care, because they realize what it's like to lose their athleticism. They know what it's like to start going downstairs and be like, oh, crap, I may fall. So that's actually where we're getting these early adopters, is these people saying, oh, wait a minute, you can actually work me out and not kill me. You can actually work me out and make me better. We're actually putting movement life back into their process, where only a trainer before would work them out, make them feel make them feel worn, and then they get even less motion over time. So we're getting our angel investors, to be quite frank with you, in our baby boomer generation, and that's what's actually supported our entire business growth. So we build programs for demographics. So in our facility, literally on this side of the screen, we got a program just for baby boomers, group training, 18 people to one coach. We dial that in. Baby boomer, the weekend warrior group, and then we don't have professional athletes in a small town that we're at, but we call those people who want to be professional athletes in that group. And so there's 3 different programs, 3 different coaches, but all based upon the fundamental truths of human movement, and that our body needs stability and mobility at the same time, not at individual times.
Interesting. Yeah. It's interesting because, a lot of, fitness and, athletes and recreational athletes, they're always on the cutting edge. They're trying new things with their nutrition and rehab, and, some of them do like the cold therapy.
Yeah. Wim Hof. Yeah. You're about to say that. Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. I really like this idea, this approach, how you have to kind of break through barriers and kind of change concepts. So how can people follow you, visit your website, check out your company and contact you?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So Gymnazo EDU is how we train trainers. So if you're a trainer and what I said was interesting or provoking to you, go to Gymnazo EDU or Gymnazo on YouTube, where we make these little videos and kind of talk about this kind of stuff. If you're a client and you want to move better and you don't live in Central Coast California, don't worry about it. We got virtual training that's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So you can go to gymnazo.com to make that happen. What we're really looking to do is to provide that coach, that trainer who says, I want to make a career out of this and not make it a hobby job. Because I look at it from a triangle, right? On a triangle, you have passion. I love my job. It's a passionate job. And most of us in the healthcare practitioner, that's an easy one. We wouldn't even gone there. Dealing with people is not what people like to do. So we got that one set. But then we need time freedom. And that's really hard in our career, very hard. So you have to train more people in 1 hour. Okay, that's doable. But then where does quality? But then here's the part what I love about your podcast, financial freedom. How do we get all three of that triangle points hit in this field without essentially treating people like they're a commodity? How do we give them quality and results and our personal time? And that's what we're here to figure out. That there should be a healthcare practitioner who doesn't have a PhD or MD that can do preventable care and have financial freedom and time and keep that passion. And I believe it's possible.
Yeah, and well said. And for all the audience out there listening, Michael's resources will be in the links and show notes. Be sure to check out his website. And fascinating discussion. Thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
No, thanks for having me. Appreciate it, Chris.
I hope you really enjoyed that wonderful, inspirational, motivational piece. Again, wherever you are listening, if you liked it, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We're on everywhere: Spotify, iTunes, Google, Amazon, Audible. And without much ado, be sure to thank this show's sponsors, and we'll see you next week.